Yeah.
I made 3
Say something.
Good evening. We'd like to call the November 18th, 2025 County Council meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Chris Sloan.
Please rise and join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. We'll start with a roll call this evening. We have Nathan Harris from the County Attorney's Office, Councilman Thomas, Councilman Hoffman, Councilman Strongberg. I'm Councilman Wardle, and we'd like to excuse Councilman Hamner this evening. We also have our county manager staff, various elected officials in the audience, and Nikki, you're taking our minutes, so thank you. If we can move to item number 4, which is our public comments. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? We have one. It's 3 minutes, okay?
Yep.
Jerry Houghton, Tooele County Recorder Surveyor. Just got a couple of things because I wanted to, after some of the conversations I've had with Councilman Thomas and some questions, I got a couple of things. So in 2011, that's when I was elected, there were 10 FTEs by my office. Now it's 2025, I have 7.75 FTEs in my office. We have 45,656 parcels. Those could be verified with UGRC. We are running currently at 4,945 parcels per FTE. Our peers, and this again was verified with UGRC, second-class counties range in between 2,500 and 4,000 parcels per FTE, which if you had us at the high end of 4,000, that would mean we'd need almost 11 and a half people. Third-class counties, our peers, range 1,800 to 2,500 parcels per FTP. That would, the high end of 2,500 be 18 and a quarter FTEs. Fourth-class counties operate usually at 1,500 per FTE and less. So when I came to you with my request, I wanted to add this information because we are innovating and operating with less. I told you that I would just go down to the request of 1 instead of the 2, and quite frankly, it's because we're so busy we can't train. But as I looked at some of the other metrics, as far as pay and wage analysis, we're pretty close with the positions and stuff, with the Wasatch Front, and then also with our peers. So what I'm asking too is I had some requests because we've done a lot of training to move some people up. And I've also completed Victoria McGrath's wage study, which I submitted all these documents back in the end of August to 1st of September. The last time we did a wage study was in 2021 is when we started. We started with the questionnaires came out to us in September of 2021, and we didn't finally implement the study findings till May 17th of 2022. That was 8 months, and that didn't account for the RFP time that we had to send out for it. So I support the wage study, but remember it's a wage study and not a staffing study. And so therefore, I do think, but I don't think we should hold up what people have worked so hard for. It should be compensated for. And so I support the wage study, but let's implement it in 2020 at 2027 for 2027's budget. Thank you.
That's noted. We will move on to item number 5, recognitions, presentations, and informational items. We have Jess Clifford here with the Small Business Development Center report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm really delighted to be with you tonight and to bring you our report for fiscal year 24-25. And I really do enjoy this opportunity every year to report on the impact we've been able to have in the county with your support. And I also would like to thank Brittany Lopez for helping me with my presentation today. We've had to work around our fine friends at IT Security. So that's okay, we're great, that's perfect. So the slide that you see on the screen, and it's also borne on the handout that you have before you, reflects our KPIs for the year. It was a record year. We were able to impact the county by bringing in a little over $3.7 million into the county this year. We were also able to serve 165 clients this year. And that constituted 361 counseling hours in assistance of their businesses. And we were also able to generate 45 new jobs here in the county. We could go right back to that previous slide. I just wanted to point out that the graph below, I thought it would be interesting to show you over the past 5 years what the trend has been among those KPIs. And when I say that it has been a record year, you can see that it actually has. If you look over to the right on the green chart, we had an inordinately large financial impact on the county last year. And that was because we had a client that had a large construction project in a facility that they put up that we were able to help them fund and obtain funding for. So that drove our number really high. But if you look at the trend, it is still coming up on an even keel. And we've been able to, we can go to the next slide now, Brittany. Thank you. If you look at if we can get there, you'll see, there we go. This shows the hours rendered in service. And it's indicative of the interest that we're seeing from people in the county in starting, or in some cases writing for a small business and helping them in various aspects of their companies. And if you look at that, the amount of interest that we've responded to and hours that we've put in is up on an average of 20% over last year. And that's the highest we've ever seen. We're using technology and innovation in every way possible to be able to meet that. And I just want to say personally that I'm having the time of my life doing it. So I appreciate that opportunity. I thought just here at closing, I wanted to show you the video for our business of the year, our success story of the year. Now, we choose these every year. And I want to preface this by letting you know that we don't just look at the earnings or the growth of the business, but we also look at the story, how far the owner has come, what it took to get where they were. And I thought it would be good, instead of just listening to me as we usually do every year, to show you and let this gentleman speak for himself. So Brittany, if we could just play that short video, that would be helpful.
It's going to have waste. And what line cleaning does is it eliminates all of that waste. So my name's Christian Fell, and I'm from here in Utah. I was originally born out in Salt Lake, but I've moved out here to Tooele about 4 or 5 years ago. I am a recovering addict. I have about 6 years under my belt of being clean. I started my journey with drug court In the process of being in drug court, I also attended inpatient treatment over at Odyssey House, and that's where I found my love for culinary and food. They put me through a program where I could actually not only learn how to work in a kitchen, but to run a kitchen. After completing Odyssey House and working over there, I got into sober living, where I also became a housing manager. As the housing manager, I started to delve into, maybe I can be in charge of things. Maybe I am meant to do something greater. So I started working here at Bonneville Brewery, and that's when I kind of noticed the opportunity when it come to line cleaning. So I started to do some research for it, started to look into the possibility of what type of equipment I would need, how much that would cost, what type of licensings that would take into place, and that's what led me over to the county office. After contacting the county office, they sent me over to the SBDC. That's where I met Jess Clifford. He gave me the roadmap to getting my business license and kind of getting my foot in the door. Within a week, I went out and I got my license. I went and got a loan for some of my equipment, and that's how Draft Lines was started. What line cleaning does is it eliminates all of that waste. The waste can also affect your beer. It affects the sellability, it affects the flavor profile, it affects the mouthfeel, it affects everything that goes in through your beer. The goal of cleaning the draft system is so that you can have that same type of quality beer that you get out of the bottle. Also can help eliminate the waste that goes into the system, because with a clean draft system, you have less foaming, less things like that going into it. And so typically you want to get 126 glasses out of your keg, right? With a dirty system, you're only going to get like 70 maybe. And so a clean system will actually help make it so that you're increasing profits and decreasing your waste. The SBDC has helped me with an amazing amount of resources with Wildcats microfund grants, with grants through Utah County. This event that we have right here. Everybody there is super nice, they're super helpful, and the resources that they have there have definitely helped me launch my business.
So that's one of 165 stories that we've been able to put together this year, and they really are like that. I just wanted to show you that so that you know that the support that you've been able to give us is actually making a difference in changing lives. And in some cases, we've got people who are doing something that are making things possible in their families for the first time. And that, I believe, changes the trajectory of their whole family. And so I just want to thank you again for your support. On the handout before you, I just also want to call to your attention some statistics on Custom Fit, which is, as you know, a state grant that we administer at Tooele Technical College to help employers cover cost of additional training that they may need for their people. And the goal of that grant is to double the budget for training that these employers have. The grant pays for up to 50% of any training that a commercial for-profit business needs to do. And this last year, we've been able to help 60 employers in the county. And that constituted 605 employees and over 13,000 training hours. And we know that makes a difference in the competitive advantage. And you'll also see that we spent just a little under $320,000 in that effort this year. So again, I want to thank you and hope that you'll find some satisfaction in what you're supporting, because it's making a real difference. And with that, are there any questions that I can entertain at all?
Any questions from the council? No, go ahead, Kendall. I'll finish up at the end. Okay, mine is, on the Custom Fit, is that being reported up the line through the technical college? You know, there's their network throughout the state to the Board of Higher Education, the State Board of Higher Education.
Custom Fit is a separate line item that's funded by the state, as you probably know. We do report it in our financial statements, but not as a part of our regular budget.
But are they understanding the impact of custom fit in Tooele County, I guess is
We
my
sure hope
question.
so. We're doing everything we can to let them know.
Okay.
And that's similar, I should say that this impact can be seen across the state and all of the technical colleges with custom fit. But I will tell you that Tooele Tech is beginning to lead out in the state. And here in Tooele, I believe as I looked over the statewide report, we are placing number 3 or 4 in the state among all of the technical colleges in terms of what we've been able to do with custom fit, and we spent out entirely this year before the end of the year. So that's never happened before either. We're seeing a lot of growth, a lot of interest, and a lot of opportunity to partner and impact with employers and help them. So I don't know if that was kind of a roundabout way into your question, Councilman, but we do report that as a separate program.
Thank you, Jess, I appreciate it. Kendall?
Jess, I want to, down to the TTC this last week where you did the student gala, and I'm sure we're going to hear from the student of the year probably come January, I would think, and the success, the sweetness with President Hacking retiring and moving on, and the accolades that he was given. But as you look around our county, and particularly Tooele City, and the expansion and the growth that's happening, and to have an asset like with Custom Fit, the other business improvement qualities that you can help them improve their businesses, got to say thank you, Jess, for making a difference.
Thank you. I'll make sure to pass that on to my colleagues at the school. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Jess, appreciate it. Next item is 5B, and it's Settlement Canyon Irrigation Reservoir Hydro Drone Survey Presentation. Let's go ahead and do that.
Council, I'm Jerry Houghton, Tooele County Recorder Surveyor. With me, I have Hayden Langston, who is our senior field surveyor. Hayden came to us from UVU right out of school, got his hours with Tooele County, and also earned his license. His license testing and everything was done while he would work for Tooele County. Tanner Hussey here he works for us 10 hours a week. He's getting his hours out in the field. Tanner just recently passed his last test probably March, February, you'll be done with your field hours and be fully licensed surveyor too. So you know to be careful with Hayden. He's kind of tender today because it's his birthday, okay? He just turned 30, what they're going to show you is, I came to you last year and you were very gracious to give me funds for a drone. We want to show you what we did with this and what we intend to do with this on the other reservoirs. And so I'll turn it over to Hayden and Tanner.
Great. Well, yeah, we're really excited to show you this project. It's been a lot of fun to figure it out. I've done these are called bathymetry surveys throughout my career, but nothing to this level. I've done them the old-fashioned way, which is you go out on a boat and stick a rod into the water and try and get it close. Nothing even remotely as accurate as what we have, is what we've done here. So I did want to start by showing you this video. This is the drone. That survey grade GPS rover is mounted onto the top of it, and we're surveying the bottom of Settlement Canyon. It has a sonar beam that goes out from the bottom, and the rover on the top measures the surface of the water, and then the sonar goes down and gets the depth. So hopefully it's clear. This is an AutoCAD image here.
Yeah, and I know that this can be pretty hard to see, so we've actually 3D printed out a surface for the actual bottom of the Settlement Canyon Reservoir, and we'll pass it along to you guys.
Yeah. So that is Settlement Canyon. It has this drawing here. All these points are the points that were observed by the drone. And then it's compiled here into CAD to make a surface so that we can actually do a volume analysis. So the reason that this is important is because in reservoirs, the silt builds up and at the surface or underneath the water in the reservoir, and it might affect the capacity. And this could be a big money constraint for the county if it's not dredged on time, if it needs to be dredged and we're not aware of it. And all we are going off of is an estimation from the Army Corps of Engineers in the 90s regarding the capacity. So we have an up-to-date model of Settlement Canyon now that we can really quickly go and monitor. So actually yesterday, I went and took an observation at the high water line of Settlement Canyon. So hopefully you can see here on this image, this is what the water looks like right now. The software is able to interpolate the surface of the water, and we can monitor what level of capacity we're at. If there's a problem, it enables us to do all kinds of cool things.
Yeah, and this can be done within about an hour. We go out there, we take that measurement, bring it back into the office, do our calculations, and know within an hour exactly how much water's in that. And we're hoping that we can be able to do this with every reservoir or body of water out here, just so that we know in case of like fire or that kind of stuff, to make sure that we know how much water is there, so that we can know how much water can get pulled out of there to be able to fight the fires, or to know how much to be able to sustain the life that is in those bodies of water at that time.
Yeah, so since the Army Corps of Engineers estimation in the 90s, we've lost 3% capacity since then. And honestly, it's pretty good. It just in terms of a check versus the capacity number that we came up with our model versus what they were estimating back then. And that amount of buildup over that amount of time is kind of expected. But it's the type of thing that you want to keep an eye on, because like Tanner said, if you don't want to be unaware of the situation if there's an emergency, like a fire or something like that. So
You said so far we've lost 3%.
yeah, since the 90s. Yeah.
So how much settlement does that constitute? Is that 6 inches, 6 feet of sludge at the bottom of the lake?
We would have to do an analysis that, showed the exact level of inches. It probably differs depending on where exactly in the reservoir you're at. Like so here, this is north facing. You can actually close up this elevation right here, 5305.59. We come over here, 5321. So you can kind of see that it goes down. So it's hard to know exactly how much silt was in there in the 90s, versus what there is now. But now, when we go back, it's really easy. We can check this in a day, go over it with the drone again. We would get new elevation data that would help us to know, oh, we gained an inch in the last year. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking to find.
Okay, so is there a certain amount that it becomes critical when we get too much in there? At what point do we know we need to dredge it?
Councilman Hoffman, can you pull your microphone closer, please?
So let me give you some history on that. So when this was completed in 1965, it was estimated there was 1,168 acre feet. That was a rough estimate, which is 380.5 million gallons. That's the capacity. 380,593,968. Then in '86, right after we had the floods, and we did the dredging, again, there was an estimate, and it went up 2 million gallons, because we had estimated, again, an estimate of 1,175 acre feet. So that put it up to 382.8 million. Then Army Corps of Engineers come out 4 years later. They said, no, you guys are wrong. You only have 990 acre feet according to their study. which showed a drop of 60 million gallons between 86 and 90. So now we've gone out with accurate data, and by accurate data, they measured that we had 960.43136 acre feet. That last decimal, that point and then 4 zeros and a 6 equals 19.55 gallons. That's the difference in the accuracy, because on some of these things, the accuracy could have been millions of gallons. But since it was built, we've lost about 67 million gallons capacity, which is pretty close, between 17 and 18%. So what these numbers do is actually gives us a basis now that we can go out and get accurate information. If we have another flooding event or whatever that ends up happening, we know we can go out there and in a day be able to tell you how much silt fell and give the information to the irrigation companies, and then they can go in, they can plan for dredging, whatever they have to do. Because I'll tell you, I was here in '83. I know some of you young fellers weren't, but in '83, when we went out there, it was amazing. You would not believe the amount of stuff that happened. I mean, that canyon had been the same forever, and all of a sudden, roads changed everything up there. So what we're trying to do is be proactive. This also gives us a basis to bring into our GIS system where we can actually model. Right now, there is some technology that if you have rain gauges in certain places, you can predict what the flow will be into there and if we're going to have some flooding. What we're doing is we're trying to fit our broader modernization mission. If Tooele County is going to take the lead in the state in digital transformation, our water infrastructure needs to be part of that story. And I know it's not drinking water, but it is an important resource if we want to keep our drinking water and safe. So we're bringing this reservoir into the same era as our GIS records and AI-driven workflows, which I've been showing you guys what we're doing. And this bathymetry is a major step forward. And like I said, now that we've worked it, the state doesn't even come out and do this. They just make a guesstimation. So what they've been telling, I went through over 1,000 pages of reports, and what they're doing, okay, it's about the same. It's about the same, because they can't get a survey like this. So again, I appreciate you guys helping us. We are going to give this data to Settlement Canyon, and as we do the other ones, we're going to give that data. That way, the local communities know what their water situation is, and it can make plans. So,
When do you guys plan to do the other ones, like Grantsville Reservoir and things like that? When are those on the radar to be done?
Well, now that we have, this one was our trial and error one. So now that we have this, I actually think that we can kind of haul, and we can probably get them done sometime in the next maybe 4 to 5 months, something like that.
see all those points up there at the end by the dam?
Those are my
That was
fishing
their
river
test.
patches, aren't
That
they?
was their testing.
Yes,
Going
yeah,
back and forth. So
yeah,
that
you can
it
see how many
really-
more points there are up here versus the south end here. And then all of this stuff up at the top, we had, Tanner and me walked along the top there and got that topographic data. But I also do want to just shout out Tanner too, because he's only here 10 hours a week, but he has done a ton of the heavy lifting as far as getting the boat working, generating the surface. So he's done a lot in the amount of time.
We call it a hydrodrone, not a boat.
A hydrodrone, yes. Much more technical term. But that's another thing that the funding has really helped. This part-time position has, just in the amount of time I had, it would have taken me much longer by myself. So Tanner really helped.
You gonna do the Great Salt Lake?
That would, I wouldn't dare.
I don't want to.
Yeah. but yeah, we're excited because we really did work out a lot of the kinks. The boat, or the hydro drone, sorry, is working great now. We have it fine tuned. So I think that we can do these other ones quite a bit faster than we did this one.
Are there any questions or comments from the council?
I think-
Hayden,
I just
Tanner,
think
thank
this
you.
is
That's
cool.
cool.
I think it's
Appreciate
good
it.
information. Thanks.
All right, let's move to item number 6, which is minutes. Council, have you looked over the minutes? Are there any comments or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I reviewed them and didn't find any issues with them.
We have a motion by Councilman Hoffman. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Strongberg. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Right, we'll move to item number 7, the consent agenda for the public's information. Our check register is online and all checks can be reviewed there. Seeing the check register is item 7A. Council, do you have any questions before I entertain a motion?
No, I just want to mention, I did put a couple of the print off some of the check register, and they're up there by the agenda if people want.
Thank you, Councilman Hoffman.
of that.
With that, I'll entertain a motion on the check register.
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Hoffman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Thomas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? We'll move to item 8. The chairman isn't here, and this will be the council's discussion on budget. We may make many decisions tonight. We may not make any decisions tonight. This is our discussion time. The chairman sent out an email to the council earlier today so that we had somewhat of a format that we could follow. So the first discussion that we will have is on the COLA and merit increase. The COLA percentage, we had 2 of them placed on the council's page, which was a 3.25% COLA, a 1.25% merit. Yeah, and the average would be 4.5%, that's projected, and then 3.25%, 2% with a 5.25% recommendation. Andy, do you have any comments on this?
No, just based on the evaluation scores from last year, as our auditor mentioned, we're anticipating about a 1.25 average for our employees on the merit based on their evaluations. So we'll put in 2% budget for budget purposes, but we expect that to be a little bit lower as each employee is evaluated.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Comments on this item? Do you want to look at the projected or the recommendation? As I think what we're looking for is a recommendation from council members.
I can support that. I think it's
Okay.
good work by the manager and the auditor, and all the good effort went together to move that forward, so I can support that recommendation.
Right? Councilman Thomas or Strongberg, or Councilman Hoffman or Strongberg?
I am okay with it, but I would prefer to see the COLA down around 3, but that's just me. I feel they need something and they deserve something, but I think the 3.25 is just a little bit high, but it's not, I'm not gonna die on this hill.
Okay. Councilman Strongberg?
I'm good with the recommendations there.
I am too, and Councilman Hamner let me know he was good with that, so we will go with that COLA recommendation. We had a page that was put into our budget packets on new positions, so we'll go to that next, or employees. Is that what the chairman was asking us to look at?
Correct.
Okay. Over the last 2 weeks, for those in the public, we've had, the past 2 weeks, we've had each of the departments and elected officials come forward with their department budgets, with the recommendations where we have asked questions. The first thing that I would like to do is, are there any questions on the employees from the council members for any of the department heads that we have here?
Has anybody tabulated how much, if we approve all of these, what the salary, new impact is on the salary? Andy, are you aware of what that is by chance?
That spreadsheet that we have with the positions does have a total at the bottom for all of the full-time positions, there's a salary. So if you approved all of them, which crosses over multiple different funds, just so you're aware, it's $1.3 million if you approved all of them. Now, the sheriff may want to get up, and kudos to him, he may want to explain what he sent you last night. I think that's good for him to come and explain that.
Thank you, Manager Welch. I sent an email to the council and Andy last night. We thought it was a long shot when we originally applied, but I think with LSI's assistance in drafting our proposal for the COPS grant for personnel, we were awarded $250,000 grant to be used over the course of 3 years, and that is to put toward the hiring of 2 additional deputies. And so that, while it certainly doesn't begin to cover the total cost for a 3-year hiring of them, it's roughly a third of it. And I just can't think of a time where we're going to get free money toward the salaries and benefits of deputies outside of a grant such as that. And so we thought it was a long shot, but it was worth putting the time and effort in. And there was just something, just to give you a little bit of a background, the COPS grant is historically been very, very competitive. When I was with Tooele City, we applied for it numerous times and never got it. Just as I was leaving, they were awarded it. I think it was the year after I left, but everyone puts in for it, but they seldom get it. And we were fortunate enough to be selected this year by the DOJ as being a recipient of it. So anyway, didn't mean to take too much time. Thanks for the opportunity, but I'm hoping that'll contribute at least toward the tough decisions you guys have got to make.
So before you step down, are there any questions from the council?
No. But I just want to make one comment. Thank you, Sheriff, for putting in for that, making the leadership effort and the team and our lobbyists that helped to get that grant writer.
Yeah, and it's one of them where had it not been for the prodding from LSI, I don't think I would have applied because it takes a lot of time and effort, and historically it's not been very productive. It's not been a good use of our time and effort, but this was one of the times where it actually paid off. And so we're excited to receive it. Look forward to your guys' decision on what we do with it and whether we take advantage of it or not.
So I just want to make sure I understand the drawdown. Is it a third every year for 3 years? So we would pay 66% of the salary and then we'd be reimbursed 33%.
Yeah,
roughly. Okay.
and until we accept it, we don't know all of the details, but the best we're able to do, because Manager Welch asked the same question on how this is done, and it looks like as long as we show that we hired the deputies and we basically prove that we are paying them, it looked like it was a monthly drawdown on the amount up to a third per year for the 3 years. And they give you 5 years to use it because they realize it can take you a little while to get them hired. And so that's the basis of their giving you 5 years to use up the 3 years worth of funds.
Can I just ask one quick question? And then you mentioned there's a timeline in accepting this. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to make sure we take advantage of the timeline if they're moving that direction.
Yeah, and that's they notified it. They said they notified us 2 weeks ago. It's been a while since any of us were on their portal, and so we don't actually know who got the notification. They finally called Sergeant Leardahl, the administrative sergeant, and said, "Hey, are you guys going to accept this or not?" And so we have roughly 2 weeks left in the acceptance period. So we'd be looking for an answer one way or the other within the next 2 weeks.
So you need an affirmative from the council to be able to accept it.
Yes.
Just making sure that we understand the
Yep.
email.
That's absolutely what we're looking for is within 2 weeks, and I guess timing. I guess timing's good. Being we are talking budget, and this is a mitigating component of the ask that I have in the budget. So timing's good, but yes, timing is of the essence. So yeah, we'd be looking for at least an answer so that we can get going on it or put it to rest one way or the other.
Sheriff, one other question. So with this, we have 5 years to use it up, but do we have to, I'll use the word guarantee employment for a certain period of time of someone that we hire with that?
Yes. It is designed to be basically seed money, meaning the expectation is that we promise that these positions don't go away after the expiration of the money.
And is there anything we've had the conversation last week, right? You know, it's just a regular turnover, something like that. If we bring someone in and they say, hey, I got another offer somewhere else, can we then use that to hire their replacement? Are we on the hook if they choose to leave?
If they were to leave, don't quote me on it because I don't know all the rules of it. I would anticipate we can continue to utilize it for that growth by 2 that we have requested through the DOJ.
Council, do you have any other questions?
One question, so how many officers or positions are we gonna fund with that? Because we got the nice grant, so how many officers or positions?
It is designed to allow us to hire 2 additional road deputies. And it's road because COPS grant is community-oriented policing, and so that is a law enforcement side of the house. So it's not corrections deputies, it's the law enforcement deputies side of the house that the COPS grant would need to be used for.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Can I ask us a timing issue? And one of the things that you put in your budget was like a staffing study. Would you recommend doing the staffing study, then hiring the people, or what? Is there a timing to this? Let me just ask that question. Or is it both? That's what I couldn't figure out.
I guess I could have the conversation either way. I guess what I'm saying is I look forward to the idea. I like the idea of a staffing study. What I don't like is how long does it take? Because if it's a study that takes a year, then I say, let's move on these and let's get them. Let's get them in the
Build
chute.
out a plan based on.
Yes, and then build a 5-year, 6, 7-year plan of for staffing based off estimates of growth off of that study. So I absolutely support the idea of a staffing study, but I think this is one where do I think the staffing study will say I need at least 2? Absolutely. And so I don't think we're going to get a staffing study come out and say, hey, remember you got to cut the 2 deputies from your workforce. That's, just in my comparison analysis, there's little risk of that. I believe we were awarded it in part because of our numbers.
Council, any other questions? All right, do you have any other questions about any of the other positions before we start discussion? Sheriff, thank you.
Thank you.
So the position that we're complete with the sheriff?
I don't think we're complete. We're gathering information before we go through each one. Ty, do you have any other questions for anyone regarding any of the positions on
No,
our
but
sheet?
I've got a comment or
Okay.
some comments if you guys are okay with that.
Is it regarding these ones?
Regarding employees altogether.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I asked
Okay,
about that.
perfect.
Okay, so I just sat here and ran a few numbers real quick. If we approve everything at 1.3 million in today's dollars, I extrapolated it out for both, if we just give a 3.25% raise, how much money that would be, what that would be equivalent to in 10 years, and then how much money we would pay out over 10 years, okay? So in 10 years at a 3.25%, that doesn't include COLA, okay? So I'm estimating low. That 1.3 million in today's dollars in 10 years from now would be roughly 1.8 million, okay? Total payout over 10 years would be, from impact on the budget would be 14 million, just over 14,300,000, okay? If we do the same thing for 20 years, because the possibility of these employees being here 20 years is very good. And this doesn't include benefits either, and I don't know, I can't remember what you guys want, what is the average additional benefits that we pay? Is it on top of salary?
The I know what you're gonna say. The benefits are included in that that spreadsheet.
Good.
And just so you know, we estimate the benefits and they took the max. Everybody took the max, and so that is gonna be on the high side.
So in 20 years, the 1.3 million at 3.25% would be equivalent to $2.47 million, okay? And the total impact on the budget that we'd pay out for the employees is over 27,300,000. Okay? If they remain here for 30 years, just these employees, new employees that we're discussing, okay? In 30 years, it would be roughly $3.4 million is what it would be worth in today's dollars for 30 years. And the total impact on the budget would be over 40,300,000. Okay, so that's why we ask these questions, because it doesn't just impact the budget today, it impacts the budget and the taxpayers 10, 20, 30 years from now. Okay?
Thank you, Ty, and that information is very helpful. Andy, before we start talking positions, on our sheet, we have positions name underneath the new positions. And just to be clear on this, those are asking for either additional FTE, is that correct?
Yeah, so the top part is just a new FTE, a new one employee, and the others were changes either from a part-time to a full-time or changing from 0.25 to 0.5, and so those are just less than a full-time employee.
And so like the 0.25 would take it to a point, for instance, on adult aging services, it would take it from a 0.25 to a 0.5, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Just so that everyone knows what we're talking about as we're looking at the documents in front of us. The other thing that came up in several of the presentations was about addressing positions, and we're looking at a position refresh for 2025 or 2026, and those will be taken care of during that time.
That is correct. And then just as the reason why we're having a refresh, but we need to look at those positions. Typically, we get about 4 to 5 requests for position shifts within the budget. This year, we had 20 to 30, which was a lot, and so we thought it was best to make sure it's fair for everybody and it's consistent with our system, to make sure that's part of the study that Victoria would do for us. There were just too many just for us just to start doing those one at a time, because once you change one, it starts to affect other positions because they all are tied together, and so we thought that was best to tie those together with the study. So absolutely, we'd like to get that study started as soon as we can at the beginning of the year, so we have those numbers early.
All right, so understanding that, council, this is our discussion time. Do you want to talk about each of the positions? Do you want more time to think about it? What are your thoughts at this point?
Well, I think our end game is we need to adopt the budget in December, correct? The first meeting, December 5th?
In December, yes, but it would be
In
ideal.
December.
It'd be good to have it earlier than later, thank you.
And so I've heard Allison say that you better get it done by December 5, right, Allison? Okay, so we got a good nod and a smile from her, so I'm ready to discuss them, and let's kind of make some decisions and ask more discussions. The questions might come up as we discuss.
Eric and Ty, how do you feel? We have a proposal. Is that where you want to go tonight, or do you have more questions you'd like to ask offline? Where do you think you are?
So I probably have one question, and this is probably for a group of the elected officials. But starting with, I guess, the assessor and recorders, it really is the assessing collecting. Between the two, originally there was a request for 6. I guess my question, and Jerry mentioned today when you started, right, you had employees, you've gone down, there's been some efficiencies. I know, Joy, there was some, head count done. I'm curious, I mean, we're looking at where we're at now, but if we looked and said, where are we going to be 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 8 years from now, and I know you don't know the numbers now, but what would that look like, right? And as we look at that, understanding where that is, part of me says, I don't want to put in these 6 positions in this group, and because of more efficiencies, we get 4 years down the road, and now we're saying, okay, we're overstaffed. And recognizing that's probably not going to be the case, but what do you need 6 years, right? Is it
Okay, hold
six
it.
employees
Before
in this
everyone
group?
comes up, Joy, could you come up and Jerry come up first, please?
Yes, yeah.
But I think the questions start with these two and then we'll come
Well,
to
I was
you.
gonna kind of give you a little history of how we got where we are with this and then they can talk. So with the assessing and collecting fund, we're kind of at the first baby steps of this fund and developing a plan as a group. And so the first steps of it were to create the fund and get it separated out of the general fund, and that happened last year. And so then the next steps are to create that exact plan that you're looking at, because we do recognize that it does need to be on not necessarily like a rotational basis, but there does need to be some kind of a plan going forward as to what happens with those funds, because there really hasn't been any kind of a plan in place between the 4 departments. So the hope would be going forward that there isn't 6 requests for employees, that we have more of a, like a facilities plan going forward, or some kind of more robust maintenance plan in place for these offices, so that we don't have deferred maintenance with the group. Because that's pretty much what this is. It's deferred maintenance. And so last year was the first step for that. But these two are the ones that need it the worst right now. So
That information is helpful. Joy, both of you were asked questions, and Joy, if you'll go first, and Jerry, if you'll just slide over to this microphone so we can keep discussing. I think a lot of the questions started to come out of Mr. Nelson's letter, and I think that's created some questions. I don't know if concerns is the best word, but it's created some questions, because his analysis didn't track with this, nor has he been able to get with us and answer those questions. So Eric, if you could just sum up real quick what you're looking for about the plan and where they might be.
Yeah, and Allison, I really appreciate that, because I think that's, as I think about it, where everyone that this touches, right? What is the staffing need when we think of it, assessing and collecting? And, what do we need now? What do we need in the future? And we're doing it correctly again. Are these 6 positions going to go away in 5 years? Maybe not, but what is the number we need down the road? Because, we may need to scale, right? And I know that was some of the question is, in the assessor's office, right, there's 4 positions. Can we fund all 4 of those now? Do we need to do some of them now, some of them next year? What does that look like, and how do we, put people in the right spots at the right time as a whole? So I think that's just one thing of, not saying there's not the need, but if we look beyond just right now, what are we looking at as a whole?
And if I can just jump in and ask this question here, is the assessing and taxing fund is a specialist, I call it an assessment or a fee, but it's a tax that the county council can levy. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It's
And
part of
that
the
was-
county tax, yes.
And that was established by the state in the 80s?
1987. I
80s,
believe it
yeah.
was.
Realizing that the state says they did that legislation at that time because the funding used to come out of general fund, correct?
Yes.
And so since that time, I'm sure the county council at that time raised that tax a little bit whenever they needed it to. So when was the last time that was raised? And then, so if that's what we're talking, that revenue stream,
It was about 11 years ago. Salt Lake County does it right in that they're aware that they're going to have continued growth, continued maintenance, and so they integrate a small raise yearly, knowing that they're going to have growth, that they're going to have maintenance. And their assessing and collecting is important because that's one of the things that funds those offices, that keeps the tax flow even and on the right path and going the right direction, and they can keep up with it. That's one of the most effective managements that I've seen throughout my career. As you talk about the positions, when we went through the office, I've had the benefit of working with Tooele County now for over 10 years. And so I went in looking at where they were and where they are and the shifts that have taken place during that time. You had appraisers in the office at that particular time and a commercial staff that were hired to do the commercial properties. When the commercial contract went away, And the appraiser stepped into doing that commercial. That gap for the residential that he was doing wasn't filled. So there was all of that integration that just went away. The Greenbelt specialist, that was a clerical position that every office has and has for years, was integrated into the appraisers doing that. So there was another one that just kind of lost track, and then it went. And then when the assessor became the assessor, he did not replace his position. He chose not to do that. He was concerned about the wages for his employees and opted to not do that. So there's been some gaps. When I went through the possibility of losing an employee, because it's constant with the employees that I have, because I have 3 of them that live out of the county, and they're constantly being recruited, especially one. The county manager stepped right up and worked with me on it, but it came to mind really quickly that I had gaps in my staff that hadn't been filled for years, and we were still growing, and people that were working many jobs, which happens in counties, but it has to be reasonable. They've treaded water and come up with implementing technologies that I've been part of with State Tax Commission, as well as UAC and some of the other things that have been implemented. The 4 employees that we came up with were not just stabbed at. This was something I worked with HR, with the county manager. We looked at the gaps and the way to fill the positions so that they were meaningful in the office and going forward sustainable, because it isn't now. The clerical takes away the work from the appraisers so they have the time to do what they need to do. The appraiser that we wanted to hire fills the need for the new growth that we're experiencing that we haven't filled to this point. The key positions are meant to have underfills so that those important positions that are critical to the assessment role and that are doing more than 1 to 2 jobs, they're doing 3 to 4, are filled. I don't know that that answers it effectively as much as you want it to, but this wasn't something that I meant to be, we need it right now because of the growth. This is meant to be sustainable and going forward and filling the gaps that we've recognized in our office.
So if I could ask just a clarification. So when Jake left, our previous assessor left, he did not backfill 2 positions.
No.
And so there were 2 positions down when you came.
It was.
And so, okay, so now okay, good, so that's good, so.
Does that help? Do you have further questions? Okay.
Jerry, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so on mine, I told you that I was sitting next to somebody that said they could have some interns. Sent an email, haven't heard from them yet. I did tell you and committed that I would go just to the one, because quite frankly, for a cadastral mapper, you can't hire them off the street. We've tried to shortcut it by hiring in the past GIS, but they don't know how to read a legal description, and it takes a while, so you're still training them. And then part of the reason they're no longer with us, we weren't providing them with what they really wanted to do, which was GIS stuff, make maps like similar to what we've been showing you. So I also want you to know, I think that by what we've shown you, we are adopting technology faster than most. We are trying to provide the best product for the least amount of money. And we do spend a lot of time networking with other people. Some call it, I'm still in ideas, but I'm still in ideas from other people. And so also with that, in 2016, I worked hard. We were only charging the base fee of $10 a document. We got the legislature, who sets our fees, to raise that to $40 a document. That was the first time it had been raised since 1993. I went back through all my books, the beginning of time, and every 3 to 5 years there had been a raise in fees. And significant for those times when you go up from $2.50 to $3.25. Back then, that was a big raise. but we hadn't done anything, because if we, and I pushed for that, and we're pushing again, but we've been told about the most we could expect is maybe 5 additional dollars per document. So on the recorder's side, we are working at that. I told you about my numbers earlier, and I apologize because I didn't know I'd have this opportunity to speak to you. But I'm willing to do what? Long-range plan? I gave you some numbers. I probably should be, if I, even at the high end of what my peers are doing in a second-class county, I should be down to 4,000 per document. I do know at one time I had talked to Commissioner Tripp about that was the manning level I felt that we could, but when I'm doing 4,900 documents, that doesn't, or 4,900 parcels, that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot. And we have a ton more than our, than some second-class counties, so.
I'm gonna ask a similar question I was asking the sheriff about. You give us this metric based off other counties and stuff of per parcels, per employees. Is there other metrics that are used? When I was talking with the sheriff about his metrics that he sent over, I was like, okay, what other metrics can we use? Because he gave me a similar type number with how we compared.
So the numbers that I got are based off of UGRC has some, because we have to report our parcels.
No, I understand that. I'm asking, are there other metrics that can be used other than just the number of parcels per employee? I get what you're using. I'm just wondering what other metrics are
When I
there?
looked at it for population-wise, we're probably just a little bit low. You know, like it says probably should have 9. I got 7.75. When I've looked at the other ones on acreage, that kind of doesn't fit because you got Little Paiute and Daggett, and even when you look at what Salt Lake has, it's not a good metric. The metric that seems to be the most equivalent and the best measurement, and not just because it's giving me what I want, because I also looked at the pay, everything, you know, because I'd heard that we were looking at a pay study again, and we're pretty close. We're pretty close. We're higher than a few, lower than a few. So I believe we're in the middle.
And that's still per parcel is what you're talking about?
But the per parcel, as far as employees, that's basically what you gotta do. And just so you know, so we are working with Pro West, who worked with the county in Minnesota. And I think I told you guys about this. They're helping us remap some of the stuff to automate a bigger portion of the county for us. So they had 29 townships. We have 207. They ran numbers, and it's in an article that's in the GIS thing. They calculated on their own it would take them 108 years. Based on ours, that would be 742 years. I don't think I'll be around. But so we are working with the same people that they're worked with. I did get a bid for the entire county. It was $600,000. I didn't even pretend to think that I would come and ask you for $600,000, and it would be a 3 to 4 year project with help. We are doing, and I talked to Andy, we are doing a $60,000, just under $60,000 project that's going to take 3 or 4 months. We're already working with them, but all that's going to give me is training for my staff so that we could do some of the more complicated things, and it's still going to take 3 to 4 months on top of that, and that's only going to do 2 townships. They're busy townships, that's what we picked, and where growth is going, so we picked out by Grantsville, because quite frankly, if you've looked at my chart, you know I've got, right, the last time I looked at it, I got 991 lots that have been approved and just not recorded. And this is the time of year, because you know what they do on taxes? You're taxed on the basis of your property on January 1st at noon. So they will be coming in January. And then they will have these pretty buildable lots. Right now, it's just vacant ground, right?
Yes.
And that's where Joy, I say, Joy, here's a bunch of them, go out.
Fingernails out of the ceiling. May I speak to what you're asking? One
If
of
we
the
could take
reason-
about 3 more minutes on
Okay.
this, so.
One of the reasons you're asking about the parcel as a measure is because the tax administration office's sole purpose is to take the tax flow of the maintenance and the creation and recording of the parcels all the way to assessing and collecting those parcels from all of the offices that are involved. It's where the money comes from. It's where the new growth comes from. It's where the management comes from. It's where the maintenance comes from. That's why it's judged so highly.
No, that's fine, but like I said, when I was talking with the sheriff about it, he sent us over some stuff about the number of, the average employees and stuff based on county and the population and stuff like that. And when I looked into it, they basically track, for example, police officers by per 1,000 residents. Okay?
Yes.
That's kind of how the national average goes. So I figured out where we're at with that, and I've talked to the sheriff about that, but then I said, is there another metric that we can use? What about the crime rate? So he got me the average crime rate and stuff like that for the county. Then I said, okay, is there anything else? He's about the only other thing I can think of is response time to calls.
Right.
Okay, so there was 3 potential different metrics there that we could look at to analyze, not just one different metric. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Maybe there's not.
There
I
is.
don't know.
One of them I talked to Scott about was, if you're looking at the number of days that the number of staff have to do the parcel work that they're supposed to do for that year, that's a metric that you
Right.
can use to measure. We've talked about that.
One of the things where I've been a little bit concerned, and this is why I say the 15-year-old data is outdated.
It is.
That Mr.
Nelson.
No, Walters.
or Nelson sent to us, or whoever it was. And so looking at the academic side, and I mean, just browsing, I don't pretend to even get close to being an expert. It would be wonderful to be able to drill down on that a little bit better.
Okay.
Let me just real quick, Eric, has your question been answered?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Ty, do you have any more questions or comments?
Not at this point, no.
Kendall?
I just want to make sure we all understand that when we hire these in Joy's office, when you hire someone, it takes how long to get them up and certified?
It takes at least a year to get licensed. The one person that we're talking about licensing would be the appraiser. Personal property, it would take at least 6 months because they have to have designation as well. The state requires at least those designations. The Greenbelt person would have to have designation. So they're going to be training in tandem with the State Tax Commission classes, as well as doing the work as they're doing it, so that they can show that we've had these education classes and we've been doing the work in the office, and here's our portfolio and the files that we've put together showing that we know how to do it. So it's in tandem.
So when you hire your new folks to come to work for you,
They go right to work.
they go right to work, but they also, maybe job shot is not the right word, they're trained with a coworker.
With the
doing that.
coworkers and the trained employees and supervisors by the certified. We do have a few data collectors that have expressed interest that are already trained that, for positions, which I'm looking forward to if we do that. If you want more information with the metrics that we just talked about, if you want me to work on that, I'm happy to do that.
I don't know if we're there tonight yet. We'll ask in a second.
That's fine.
Thank you. One of the things that has concerned me is the term tax increase. I'm always concerned about it. Because I just believe it's a taking, it's not a revenue. It's a taking from our citizenry. And we saw the battle over that this year. I'm just going to share some data. You guys can sit for a second.
Okay.
But as a council, the fund balance for the assessing and collecting tax is projected to be, well, it wasn't projected to be on 11/3/25. It was $1,985,729. We want to keep that by our policy at $893,578. That's 45% of what the fund balance, okay? If we were to fund all the positions as constituted or in how they look, we're looking at $479,700 for all the positions that have been recommended, excluding the mapper, which means that we would be spending into the fund balance close to $200,000 a year, which means that we would draw that fund balance down very quickly. I am concerned about that. I don't think that's good financial management on our part to debt spend, and that's what I would call it, is when we're going in consistently and pulling from our savings, there's a debt. So one of the things I would like to see in the next year is I'd like to see the taxation committee come to us with the proposals that we need to look at this over time. I personally am not there for all the positions. I don't know where the rest of the council is. Using the metric of staying within the budget that we're looking at and only spending what we take in taxes, we can fund about $280,000. And that's probably where I'm comfortable. Well, it's not probably, it's where I'm comfortable right now. And so I don't know where the rest of the council is. That's just another data point for the council members. What are your thoughts?
Can I ask a question? Is that just on new positions?
That's on new positions.
And my question is we missed the opportunity. I mean, we got a state law that says you're required by state law that says you are to fund the
Assessing and collecting.
the assessing and collection. And we want to make sure that it's accurate, it's timely, that we're not estimating, and even though that we got the staff correctly, and I'm really concerned particularly about the assessor's office being down 2 people, and yet we know that we're growing like crazy. We missed the opportunity this year to make the public advertisement to say we might raise taxes on the assessing and taxing. How much would that be if we, $30, $10? In that range, we'd have to determine that.
With the analysis that Jerry did. The thing that I want you to remember too is assessing and collecting taxes were created for a reason. It was meant to be maintained, not kick the can down the road and do every 11 years or maybe we'll do it this year, maybe we won't. It's meant to be maintained to fund those offices with the growth that takes place.
I've got to be careful with that. I don't agree with that premise at all. And that is because sometimes you will have a financial downturn and you're not going to see the growth, and then we have these other issues. And so I think that's a failed policy. I think our school district has showed that, and our public is tired of that. And so I can't get behind that premise of raising it every year.
I won't either. I'm not.
Well, I'm not suggesting every year. Salt Lake County does that because of necessity, because they're huge. But every 11 years is probably a little bit much.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think that's why I said I would prefer to stay in our budget this year, which is $281,000 and change, and have the taxation committee come with a recommendation to the council on what a 5-year plan looks like and what that looks like in a recommendation for or against a tax increase. Because right now we're shooting in the dark, and I just can't get above the 281.
Can I just say 2 things? One, going back to your, well, now I can't even remember, but on yours, you said that you were comfortable with the 200 and.
Which roughly funds 2 positions. It's close to 281,000, but that, again, we're not looking at complete growth in that. That's where our cushion is right now, between what we're collecting and what we're expending. So we've got a buffer that we have to go in and look at on that. When I look at this completely, I'm comfortable with 2 positions. I don't think I can get above 2 positions, but we have a council for that reason, so.
What I was going to say is I showed you a analysis that would be based on what they require for truth in taxation. And for $7.70 on that $475,000 residential property, that would give us the $250,000, which would, I know it's not there this year, But I think that's something we need to plan, because that would give you another $250,000.
I think that's a great recommendation, but you're missing a member of your committee. And until all four of you sit down and agree upon a plan, I can't get there. And I'm not just gonna do this because.
Right, not just because, and I agree, we need to give you a plan. We also need to make sure that we're gonna back you and not leave you out there hanging.
Well,
I
it
know
will be
what you-
your recommendation.
Right,
So,
right.
I think let's sum up the
Just
discussion.
one last point on that, is when I talk about that recommendation, is there's a timeline that we have to make the decision next year to say, with that report, that Scott acknowledged and Jerry you talked to say, we need to have that on our radar, that we need to make that calendar to say, make sure that we could do it.
By
not that
October
we
1st,
absolutely
yeah.
are going to do it. But with that report that comes back to us. And so along with what.
All right, I
Councilman
commit
Ward
to you that we'll work on it.
And so I'm comfortable doing the two positions for the assessor's office.
Okay, so we're going to end the discussion now. Ty, where would you like to be at?
As I've looked at it, I would say 2 employees as well.
Eric?
I think we can go do 2 and then come up with that plan of how we really map out. So not just the 2, but beyond that.
And I think that, I just want to clarify, we're allowing Joy to pick the 2 positions.
Yes.
Okay, on the deputy recorder, Ty,
No,
Kendall?
How does that impact our budget? I mean,
It would be another $79,000. It starts to put us in debt spending.
probably no.
not until we have the study
Eric?
and the information.
No.
And I am a no. So that's where we're at on the positions.
So which two positions then, Joy, is your recommendation that there's 2? Would they be the data manager and the personal property appraiser? I just want to make sure I put
They're
those,
the key, yeah.
put those in their budget if that's.
The underfill and the key positions would be my priority, just to put that in place.
And just one point of clarification, that number, Mr. Chairman, that you brought up about 281, what that is if you look at our budget for this year, we typically underspend. That 281 is the underspending that we typically see if we spend 90% of our expenditures. And so the budget this year is revenues equal expenditures, but we typically underspend. That's the 281. That's where we're getting the 2 positions, is what we typically underspend. So we're right as far as we can go without a tax increase or dipping further into the fund balance. So.
All right, let's move to the next 4 positions that we have on our list, and that is for the Sheriff's Department. We've had a discussion. Is there any more discussion on these?
On those? On the sheriff's. and the
Yeah,
appraiser.
so we're looking at all 4 positions on the Sheriff's Office.
I think we need to take advantage of the grant while we've got it,
Okay,
for sure.
I agree with that.
I think we would be foolish not to move forward on those 2 deputies.
Kendall, what are your thoughts?
2?
2? Eric?
I'm full support of the deputies, and I can support the corrections as well.
Okay, so we need to be very clear. Are you saying the 2 deputies and the 2 jail positions? Or are you saying 2 deputies? I think we're in agreement on the 2 road deputies.
Right.
But we need to decide the other 2 with the So I can get, until the staffing study's done, I think I can go with 1 jailer. I think that that's an important part of this.
I can go 1 or 2 on that, I'm good either way, but we still need to get the study done. Yeah. Is how I feel.
And, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and complain about that. I mean, I think, you guys are being, pretty good to me. And, just, on the corrections side of the house, one of the important components that these deputies are going to allow us to do is, because we take in, federal marshal inmates, we have to do the transportation. And so it becomes very cumbersome, especially as, the courthouse ramps up more and more cases. We have local transports, but we also have to be able to go pick up marshals. And so these 2 deputies are intended to really be within the transportation division, bringing in, allowing us to continue bring in some revenue and keep that revenue stream going from the federal marshal inmates.
That's a new data point. I know that you said that in our presentation, so forgive me.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I just, look, I like the direction we're going with the conversation. I don't want to torpedo it. I just want to, reiterate that.
I don't think it's
There's-
torpedo from any of us,
Yeah.
but council members, what are your thoughts?
Let's recap. So corrections, how many officers?
2.
2. Deputies, road deputies?
2. Yep.
Eric, what are your thoughts?
I'm good with all 4, 2 corrections, 2 deputy.
Ty?
I don't have a problem with it, but I still wanna do the study.
Agreed.
And if we run into problems like with, ERDA pulling out or stuff like that, we may have to relook at those things, or especially maybe with.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So that caveat's really important because the more that we are hearing about the elections, the more concerned that ERDA contract is
Yep.
now becoming.
No, I know that element is out there, and to a certain degree will always be out there.
Yeah, but, so Kendall, you're for all 4 positions? I'll come back to you. Eric, all
Yes,
4 positions?
all 4.
Ty, all 4 positions?
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah, I'm fine with 4, I'm fine with 3.
I am fine with 4. With the caveat, Sheriff, could you please wait to do hiring until March? I know that you've got some people, but I think we will know in January or February where the ERDA contract is. I think that that is my concern.
Yes.
Man, thank you. So there's 3 votes for it.
But what I don't want you to be alarmed is it takes us a little bit to build up a roster. So as you see announcements go out or us proceeding with building a roster, just understand that it'll take us that long to get people hired.
We're just very,
No,
that data those data points on ERDA seem to be getting louder.
I'm with
That's
you.
our concern.
Thank you.
So, okay. So Andy, do you have what we have there? Okay, let's move to roads, which is not in the general fund. There's an office manager request. Ty, do you have any questions, Kendall or Eric, on the roads department?
On which ones were those?
Roads, it's the office manager request. Wait, stop, rewind, sheriff's back.
I am going to torpedo myself yet. No, just on the law enforcement side of the house, that makes perfect sense. On the corrections side of the house,
Go.
yes, it doesn't impact. So I just wanted to make that clarification. Chief White pointed that out to me.
And just so you don't
It's
come
a
out,
good point.
you're good on the grant.
Yes, thank you.
So I didn't really make a decision on, so the funding on the correction side, so all your funding comes out of general funds?
Yes. No, we also generate the revenue with contract bids.
And municipal service fund.
Yeah, and the municipal service funds on the law enforcement house side of the house, it's the contracts with ERDA, Lake Point, Stockton that generate some of the revenue. On the correction side of the house, it is state inmates, federal inmates, and ICE inmates that all generate revenue.
And you got enough money to fund the further corrections? I guess
All of our funding mitigates the cost of public safety. None of it is we're not an enterprise fund. We will always require subsidy. If there was money to be made in the corrections industry, it would be privatized, or law enforcement, it would be privatized across the nation.
And I kind of struggle just a little bit because it's public safety. But I go back to our previous one with assessing and taxing, collection is, people whine more about their taxes going up, and if we don't have the correct staffing to make sure we're not estimating, we're not guessing, we got time to go visit. And my understanding, Joy her people has to go visit those, and yet, at public safety, I don't ever want to vote against. That's why I'm struggling here.
Oh, thank
Also
goodness.
struggle with the point of saying, people need to make sure their taxes are absolutely correct all the time, and do we have the people to do it, funding to do the taxing, collection, assess? That's a different revenue, because that comes out of.
If I can just give you some numbers, the numbers that we have running, and my numbers might be wrong, I don't think they're too far off. The total budget that we would be approving if we approved all 4 positions without the grant is $464,000 and change, okay? With the grant, it comes out to be about $240,000 a year. Yeah, it's 80
It'd be
off.
80 off the,
So-
the top end.
Yeah, so
Roughly
so
83.
367.
Yes.
So we have a savings, we're gonna get, and I think the staffing study is going to come back and tell us we're going to need more. And we've already built it in by attrition at that point.
Yep.
Okay. So does that help, Councilman Tom? Okay. 4 votes for?
Let me sit down before I do
I would
torpedo
sit,
this. Yeah.
I would sit down. I'm just kidding. You can stand there all night. We're going to talk about roads though next, if you have any comments. So,
Let's go, Jed. Let's go.
we were on roads. There have not been any questions. The position that's being recommended is an office manager. It's paid out of roads, out of a enterprise fund,
Special revenue funds.
special revenue fund, thank you. Ty, where you at?
I don't know, I wanna hear some more discussion on it, hear what other people have to think.
Eric?
I'm good with it.
Kendall? Good. I'm good with it too. So Ty?
Doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. You've got the votes, okay? Solid waste, which again is a special revenue fund.
That's
Did I
an
get that
enterprise
correct?
fund, no, that's
No
an
kidding.
enterprise
Yeah,
fund.
That's an enterprise fund.
50/50.
Wish Jared was here, 6'7". I'm sorry. Had to throw that out. It is an administrative associate that will help with where we pay for everything, correct? As people come in, Wayne?
Yes, this position will help with the auditing of our accounts and our services we provide as far as the garbage cans and a few things in the collection side that we have to make sure that we collect on a timely manner.
Okay, council members, do you have any questions for Wayne while he's standing up here? Right, there are no questions. Eric, how do you feel?
Good with it.
Ty?
Yeah.
Kendall?
Yes.
And I'm good also. Thank you very much. Let's go to Human Services. Just real quick, Andy, what fund is the financial specialist being proposed to be paid for out of?
This one's a little bit trickier now. So it is a special revenue fund, but we subsidize it with general fund money. So
And that special revenue fund, where do we get the revenue from?
we have a lot of, Brittany, you want to chime in on some of this? The other thing if you remember Peter's discussion, this is a position that will help us recoup funding from the feds. And so this position actually helps pay for itself. And because we're subsidizing it, any way that we can gather more information, gather more money from the feds is a good thing, so.
This position allows us to, right now we contract the services that this position will actually take on. We have a contract amount with Optum, and we wouldn't be giving as much to Optum, and then we would also be collecting some of our, instead of giving them all of the Medicaid match. This is a really hard one to discuss. I wish Peter was here. But what would happen is the person would be able to collect, I wasn't prepared, I'm not good. Anyhow, this person would collect the funds and pay for itself, essentially. Not the whole position at first, but after time. But you do have to remember that there is software that has to be purchased as well to make this position work. So there's 2 pieces to this. But it would be more controls over these funding sources, which have come up in Peter's contract, in his audit that he gets from the state, that they would like to see that the county has more controls over it rather than contracting all of these services through Optum. So it's kind of coming in compliance and helping pay for itself a bit too.
There's a lot of money that passes through that.
Yes.
Correct.
We pay quite a bit in administrative fees to Optum for what they do for us. And so that's part of what would help pay for this position.
So at one point, it will become net neutral.
Absolutely. That's anticipated.
Ty, what are your thoughts?
I'm not there yet on this one.
Okay, Kendall?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I am also yes. So that one. All right, we'll move down to the moving from a part-time position or half-time position to either a full-time position, 3/4, or half-time position, am I right? So the first one is the aquatic supervisor. This was explained to us that because of what we're doing this is needed for the expanded operation. Andy, do I have that correct?
Corey can expound on the rest of that. I know it's because the pool will be open, we need to have somebody to help before and after, then this would be a joint position with other responsibilities throughout the rest of the year. Is that?
Correct. So this is very common in Parks and Rec when you have an outdoor pool to have a full-time aquatics manager. That person really spends about 8.5, 9 months of the year doing aquatic stuff. And then the other side of this would be as the rental person who does rentals at our facility. We've increased that by about 20% and look to continue to do that as well.
Rentals of what?
So we're talking apples to apples. There's two things when it comes to Parks and Rec. There's programming and there's rentals. So rentals would be, for example, Country Fan Fest is a rental. They come, rent our facility, and go away. Programming, on the other hand, is something that we put on. For example, motocross would be a programming.
Who's been doing it in the past?
Who's been doing what?
The event program coordinator.
We've just, currently we have a part-time person doing it.
So that's a different position.
That's a different position.
Just so you're aware.
This is the aquatics rental position.
Okay. When you said Country Fan Fest, that made me jump to.
No, I'm sorry, that's the programming side.
So, council members, the question is, do you want to move that from a part-time to a full-time position? Kendall?
Have we had them in the past? Before we did the remodel?
We've always had a part-time person there. This would move them from part-time to full-time because we're extending the hours of operation. We're extending the season. The pool will be open. We have more lifeguards. We're going to do more programming.
So is the pool going to be heated now?
That's our goal.
All right, Kendall, what are your thoughts? Yes, Eric?
Yes.
Ty?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that position is approved. That
Just
change?
for your information on the second one, we've already included that. Those are our lifeguards, and so we need to do that. So hopefully you're okay with that.
So the next position is an events program coordinator. Do you want to give us a 2-minute summary real quick of what that means?
So really, this is motocross for us. Plus, the Heritage Days. We started sports camps this year. We're looking to do a couple other community events, but this is motocross for us, and motocross is huge. We've had 2 public tracks go private in the last year, and so between us and Jordan River, we really encompass 5 counties as a public motocross track. And so this is to look to expand that a little bit, the motocross opportunity, and to build on what we do programming-wise.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Once again, you've done this before. Who's been the coordinator over the motocross?
So we do that with part-time people currently, and part of our maintenance staff is there as well.
Can I say something, sir?
Yes,
I don't know who
yes,
to call
ma'am.
you today.
Don't call me sir, my dad's sir.
I'm so sorry. I think one thing to remember too, with the motocross, that is, we've collected quite a bit of revenue this year in motocross. But the amount of staff that takes to run the motocross is a lot. In the past, one thing that Corey had done was he had the pool manager trying to run the event staff too, but that only worked when the pool was closed. When we have a motocross event, you have someone there that has to keep the track maintained. You have flaggers on every corner. You have people that are taking fees. So it's quite a big operation just for motocross. On top of that, with the festival area that we have, they're trying to expand the events to bigger community events. So I don't know if you guys attended the kite flying event. Corey already has a few events that their staff is working on planning for next year that are free community events to bring families together. There's just a lot of, and then when he talks about the programmed, they did the sports camp this summer, and they had people waiting on the wait list to get in. So we'd like to be able to expand those sports camps for summer activities for youth. So there's a lot that goes into that programming side, and a lot of employees that are part-time employees that are part of that event staff. So having a person over that would make that quite a bit
So council members, are there any additional questions?
Just one question, probably $1 million question. Does facilities like this ever turn a profit?
Not generally.
Slim, but it's hard.
Never. Government should never make money. That's a private sector rule.
Oh.
How's that? If we can make money, someone in the private sector better be doing it. And let's end the discussion. Eric, where are you?
I'm good with that.
Ty?
I'm still thinking we ought to do it part-time until we see some results on it. I'm not sure I'm comfortable going yet to the 3/4.
Kendall?
I would like to see better results. A proven strategy first.
Yes.
So you're saying yes to the position? So Ty, are you a no then?
To go to 0.75, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a no.
One from
That's going from 0.25 to a full-time. So it's going from part-time 0.25 to a full-time position.
Oh, yes, I'm a no on that.
Okay, Kendall?
Yes.
You are yes
Yes,
for the
I'm good.
position. Eric, you are yes for the position. I'm not ready to vote on it yet. I need some more information. So we'll hold this over till our December meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Let's move to the internal auditor, which is restoring the 50.51 of the position that was purchasing. We left 0.49 in that budget. Are there any questions? All right, see no questions.
A question, how much internal auditing does the auditor office do currently?
So Allison, if you could come answer that, please.
I mean, I'm supportive of internal auditing. I had a niece that went to jail because the school district caught her. So I'm supportive of internal auditing.
That is a paradox that you just said. I'm not gonna lie. That
She was a
was
good girl.
I was like,
so,
dang.
but anyhow, so I think there's a real need for it.
So, council, as I've mentioned before, internal auditing can be anything from an official audit that you guys sent us on, for example, the payroll audit that we're currently working on, to something as informal as making sure that our grants are compliant. I would say that an internal audit happens every single day in our office. So it's a pretty important function. We are consistently in contact with our external auditors, with Ulrich and Associates. I think that this is a critical function for the county. This is something that John, like I've mentioned, John with Larson mentioned was a critical function. This will be something that you, the council, decides if it's a critical function.
Any other questions, council? All right, let's start out with Ty.
I haven't decided on this one yet.
Okay, Kendall,
Yes.
you are yes, go to a full-time?
No,
That would take it to a full-time position from a almost half-time position.
Allison, I love you to death, but I don't know if you made the case for a full-time. So I'm happy to fund that at the current half,
Okay.
5.1.
Okay. Eric?
I'm probably good with it full time.
Okay, Ty? Just so you know, I've been trained that the chairman votes last on most issues, okay? I'm not trying to pin council members down.
I'm kind of with Kendall at halftime, part-time on this one.
I am in the camp of keeping it at 0.49. Do you want to hold it over and have Jared weigh in on this?
Yeah, let's let Jared weigh
Okay,
in on
so we will hold that over and not make a decision tonight, okay? You got that, Andy? Okay. Victims of Crime Coordinator, that takes it from a 0.5 to a 0.75. This was explained or a week ago by Rachel Cowan. Eric?
Yeah, I'm good with the increase.
Yes.
I'm good with this one.
Okay, that one takes. Okay. Adult and Aging Services, these are 3 positions that are moving them from a part-time to a half-time.
So 3 positions, there's 2 positions really. There's Meals on Wheels drivers, 1, and there's 2 food prep workers of the other 2.
So, and it's moving them from a part-time position to a half-time position. Kendall?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Ty?
I'm comfortable with doing it with 2 of them.
So do you want to give Andy and his department heads the latitude to go that far?
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Kendall, what are your thoughts on that proposal? Or you still say fund all 3? So what Ty is asking is that he's comfortable with 2 of the positions, and he doesn't care which one, but letting the department decide with Andy, in coordination with Andy and the people who do. Or we go for the full 3 positions.
Oh, I do, so we're talking all 3 positions?
Yes.
I do all 3 positions.
Okay, Eric, are you still there? Okay, and I am with Ty. I'm good with 2 of the 3, so I think we'll hold that over until Jared gets here, okay?
Hey, can I make a suggestion, you two? Go over and see what they do.
Yeah, I think there's some information still, okay?
Just go visit and you'll come around.
Andy, are you ready to go to capital projects?
Yes. Ty, one quick thing, if you can make sure you pull your mic, people can't hear you online, so if you can pull your mic up when you speak.
Before we go on, council, it is 8:41. If we do not fulfill this tonight, we will have to have a second meeting in December to pass the budget if it's not completely decided tonight. So Allison, my understanding is if we're holding over those 2 positions for further discussion, they have to be included in the resolution on December, whatever the date is going to be.
Or you need a budget adjustment after the first.
Or so if we waited till, let's say, I don't have a calendar. If the first meeting in December is the 2nd, so we could either meet again on the 9th, and that would allow us to pass the budget and not have to do budget adjustments, is that correct? Okay, council, it is 8:40, what would you like to do?
I want to keep going.
Okay, Eric?
Yeah, let's go through.
Ty? Okay, we're gonna keep going, so Andy, you're up to talk about capital projects.
I will try to make this bigger as I go through this. So I think the easiest way to do this is, as I mentioned when we first started the budget, I put all the capital projects that the departments requested within their budget, so you could see it at the bottom of the spreadsheet, and I think it'll be easy for me just to go across quickly to highlight those. So the council did not have any projects, nor did the manager's office, the auditor's office. The clerk did have one, which I think that it was an AI digitization for marriage license. That was a project. That one was $8,000, and I'm all in favor of that. HR had the pay and comp study, which we've talked about. That's their project. We've included that in. If there are any that you have questions at, please stop me. We can discuss them a little bit further. With IT, we mentioned that we're going to prepay and save about $400,000, but we couldn't then afford to do all of their projects. And so as you see there in their list of projects down here, I'm recommending doing these 2, and I talked to our IT director about doing those 2 and deferring the others until the next year, if that's okay. That was kind of our recommendation. GIS did not have any projects. Facilities just has typical projects. One that we did include separated out as new cleaners, which we're still trying to finish up the remediation of that. So there's some money there to continue to work on that. The attorney's office did not have any, the justice court did not, CJC did not. EOC now does have some. And we had some discussion about this last week, and so one was the fire study, was one of the projects that we had. The others were down, let me show them here. So we had the fire study at $47,000, then there was some equipment here that, and Bucky can bail me out here, SCBA's and special operation rescue equipment and some firefighting turnout gear. Those were the projects for the fire department. Then for the fire warden were these two projects. And this one I know we had some questions on was the seasonal wildland deployment team. Councilmember Stromberg, did you have any more questions about, I think we explained a little bit more after we had some discussion earlier with our Emergency Operations Center Director.
I think I'm right.
I don't know if you have any concerns. If you do, if you're okay, if you have any more, just please let me know.
Just as long as we're not deploying.
That was made pretty clear. Then we have some for the emergency services. There were one here that I want to defer, and this is just on computers. We're trying to build up a core of computers in the IT department, so if we ever have an emergency, we can just take them over there. Rather than buying some that just sit there, this is something that we've kind of been having a discussion. I'd like to just hold on that one. There were two here that I would recommend, and this is, we don't have a department for this. This is when we talked about using some of the reserve fund balance that we have for dispatch. These are a couple that I thought would be a good place to start. And so that would be a microwave dishes, and there's some radio replacement. We need to start using some of that, but we need to maintain a healthy fund balance before we go too far on that. So that would just be to just do a couple of items. And then the other three within the Emergency Operations Center is battery replacement, propane tank maintenance, and then card readers at the EOC, the warehouse, I'm sorry. So those were their projects. Let me keep jumping across here. The sheriff, I think we've talked about a number of these already. He had laptops and desktops. He removed the Peach Safety AI system from what I recall the last meeting. Then we have the typical 5 vehicles that we purchase each year for the sheriff's patrol side. Then for the jail, some desktops, a kitchen dishwasher, which was having problems. And I believe he removed the 6 food service carts. If I'm wrong, Sheriff, please correct me.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
And then a transportation van for $90,000. Then some computers for dispatch, as recommended by IT. Parks and Recreation, we do have a few more here. I'll just go down to the bottom here and just zoom in here. And so we did have within Parks and Rec a dump truck, a sound system for the Derby area, heaved concrete. We need to get that concrete where it's not a trip hazard. This is one that we mentioned, the America 250 celebration. How much do you want to spend for that, or is that what you want? This is a recommendation that we mentioned a couple weeks ago. On the pool side, or on Desert Peak facilities side, we'd like to finish out Desert Peak. This was not included in the contract. One is to paint the buildings, repaint the buildings, and then we need to work on the concessions because we need to have a revenue source from the concessions, and right now we don't have that, and we need to start generating some funds from the pool. So this would help kind of finish out the concession area. We also
Andy, would that be ready for when we open or shortly after?
Because the painting, you have to wait for the right season.
Yeah.
And then the
Fairly quickly, and then, you know, the design and everything will go fairly quickly on the concessions.
It's internal. Yeah, that our plan is to have it ready because we'd like to have it all ready when we open.
That's all at once.
So the painting you're gonna bid out, you're not doing it in.
It's unless you can reach that high. We need to cut some trees because they're right up against the building now, so it'll need some help there.
Yeah, is this 230, you haven't gotten bids yet, this is an estimation?
It's an estimate, yeah. The forklift is, I think was mentioned as well, this is one that we would pay for. Parks and Rec would pay half, and the Weeds Department would pay the other half, which is the roads fund. They each share on that cost for their new building. There's a sewer line that we need to connect to Grantsville at the Mormon Trail bathroom. And there's a large tractor replacement, and then the chiller on the indoor arena, which I think Corey mentioned we'd replace some, and we needed to replace the remaining ones. So any questions on those?
Can I clarify something?
Please.
So on the painting of the buildings, we do have a bid on that. And it was just over $100,000 for the paint on the buildings of the pool. We may actually, because we received a grant for the pool, and if there's money left in that grant, we could apply it to that, but we're utilizing it for some of the change orders that we've had on the pool. So, but we may have some left that we would use on that, so.
That really should be at 125,000 versus 230.
No, I think
No,
that
the
the other,
230 includes the pool concessions, and that's what we don't have bids on. We have bids on the paint, but not the concession area.
so it's an estimate on the concessions, the work that needs to be done there.
Okay.
All right. Natural resources, there's no request there. Extension, this doesn't have any requests, but this is one I'd like to just highlight. They asked for quite a few things, and the only reason I bring this one up, and you may be fine with all that they mentioned, I recommended kind of a consistent number there. But the thing that I noticed, I guess, is we budgeted 288 this year. They're asking for 378 this year. That's a rather large increase, and a lot of it, I mean, some of it was the state's backing off on some of the things that they do with the university system, but the biggest item was the ask here. They asked for 100,000. This is what level of service are you guys comfortable with? That's a big jump. Let me just put it that way. You're going up 25% in 1 year for.
Would you like us to stop and talk about this real quick?
This one you may want to.
Okay. Council members, if you'll remember, this was one that was being funded by Utah State University. That was part of their budget reduction as mandated by state law from the legislature last year. So they are asking for us to pick up the portion that Utah State took out.
So this comes out of general fund?
Absolutely.
Can you speak closer to your microphones? People online
yes.
are having trouble hearing.
Question, it was general fund support.
It comes from the general fund, correct.
I don't think that that's the accurate portrayal of that. She works part-time now, and they want her to go full-time.
Is that what you're
And they'll also, yeah. Yeah.
So just to make that louder, right now she works part-time. They're asking to take it full-time and for us to pick up the cost on that. Okay.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I know we just put them on the professional services. I know you had a note there about that, and I wasn't sure about that, but, so we currently have 2 employees that we pay for, full-time employees with extension, so this would be a third one they would be adding.
Ty, make sure you speak into your microphone,
I
please.
would say no. I'm having a hard enough time funding some of the ones that we're doing, so I'm not necessarily in favor of that at this point.
Okay, Kendall?
No.
Eric?
No.
I'm also a no.
Thanks for the clarification on that, Allison. Appreciate that. Okay, just quickly going through, these others do not have any capital projects. The assessors has some, which we recommended all of those. They're aerial imagery, value-based modeling, ILEC management studio, and a commercial contract, so those were included in their budget already. The recorder had some funding for cubicles. I believe that was changed slightly at the last meeting, if I'm not mistaken. Roads is the other. That's a little bit, let me just get back to that. So we already talked about the forklift with weeds. Weeds is now in the roads department. That's the plan this year. And then there's 1 truck for the weeds department. And then with the roads department, we have, because of such a healthy fund balance, we're going to start doing more projects than I think we've done in the past. And so this extra support staff is going to help us do this. But if you remember the presentation that Jed presented, we had all of the preservation treatments that we're doing, which roads that we're doing. And then we're doing just over $2 million in overlay, which we haven't done in some time. And so we're really pushing forward with roads now. And so they have just their typical equipment replacement. And we're in really good shape with equipment. I think when a few years ago we weren't, but we've been able to get a current stock now. So we're just trying to replace that as things wear out. So any questions on those projects that the road department has? It's kind of one of the bigger ones that people notice the most, complain about too. COG, there's nothing there. We just put in the money that we've approved. Human Services, they did have some for the software. So if we approve the person, which we did, we also need to approve the software, which is $100,000. And then there's some office remodeling that may need to be done, which I moved into facilities actually. We can it doesn't matter on that one since that's subsidized by the general fund either way. This one I want to talk about just quickly. You all received an email. I had the president of USU Tooele come by to see me yesterday. We have been paying off I think their facility, and Councilman Wardle, you may be able to help me on this, but I'm not sure if it was the county and the city decided to help pay.
They each came in with a portion to help pay the bond or the loan that was left out on the science building at USU Tooele.
Okay. So that has been paid off, but they are now requesting that we convert that money into a grant. Now, there's a little concern that I do have now because when we were paying off the building, it was the city residents and the unincorporated residents, kind of us collectively paying it off. We're using unincorporated money now, if we're to do this, really, if you think about this, to fund scholarships that would then benefit everybody.
Can I stop
Please.
you? We've had some internal discussions as a council. We're not even ready to discuss this
Okay.
yet. So we may come back within 2
Later.
weeks. We need to have a meeting with Jen. We have not had our city counterparts agree to this, and so your concerns are where everyone else's is. We do believe that we need to help in some way because it is an economic engine, but not to the extent that was asked.
Okay, thank you.
Is that fair from the council? As
Yeah, I think we decide on the number of students we're gonna help versus a dollar amount is the way I would like to approach it, but.
Yeah, and it would be
We
good.
need to have a meeting with her
It,
too.
it would be good to know if the city is contributing so that we're not
Absolutely.
overlapping. That's perfect. Thank you for that discussion.
And let me make sure, maybe I missed it because my good hearing. We want to include TTT at the tech school also.
We need to be
in this.
correct. You're correct. The only other capital purchase that we have in the municipal service is a truck for one of the building inspectors this year. Transportation, this is just, we don't have a connection with their building. It's just, they have their own independent, so we like to connect it to our network, and so it'd be running a line from the CJC to the transportation building. Aging had a few, we discussed these. One was an HVAC on their building, that was $111,000. They wanted to have a carport over the Meals and Wheels area. It's a sound system. They talked about the touch screens and then repairing some asphalt that was taken up. Those were the projects for the aging department. Any questions there? Tourism.
I'm having a hard time with the carport, I'll just tell you that.
That's fine.
So if I can make a recommendation to the council, as we're going through this, there's a couple of unmet needs that I saw that I'm in favor of funding.
Absolutely.
Council, if we can go over these with, if we're not in favor, and get those to Andy by next Tuesday, so that we
Absolutely.
can get those taken care of, instead of going by each one tonight. That would allow us to be a little more efficient, and if you have questions, if there's more information that we need, or for instance, my unmet need is, the sound system in here is terrible. It's been terrible for 4 years. It's hard to hear online, and one of Scott's requests was to update this. This is the public's room. It's the public's right to hear this, and so that is an unmet funding request. That's one that I would go back and say yes to, and then you guys can do whatever. Does that make sense?
We can?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to say yes, but if no one else says yes to it, it dies. But we see those
The
talents.
unfunding, what other list we got to go through to look at? I
It's
know you
going
call-
back through all of these, and there's some unmet ones, or a recommendation like Ty is saying, he is not sure where he is on the carport. He may say no to it.
I know where I'm at on this one, I'm a
Yeah.
no on this.
So he's a no,
I'm a no
but
on
if,
it.
Andy, we can have a spreadsheet that would have those that we can
have
go
them
in
set.
and put.
We can have us,
Okay.
just like we did with the positions.
Yes,
where you
thank
can
you.
see all of the, absolute.
So-
Maybe it'd be helpful if you scrub that out, these unfunded ones, if it's possible to do that, instead of giving us all these paper in a big, long spreadsheet.
This
Write it
one,
down,
this
is
one
the
should be a lot easier to do. This is a lot fewer columns
Yeah.
to look at, so, yeah, if you have any
Okay.
questions on those, please ask.
Let's keep
me.
moving. We're at 9 o'clock.
Yes, we are.
And we still have much more work to get done.
Yeah.
Well, the Holy Ghost don't go to bed till 10 o'clock.
Yes, but I've got to go to the bathroom because of
We'll just take a 10-minute break after this.
Tourism is one that we still need to talk about, I guess, to kind of walk through, because the law's changing, and I know that at the USAC in a couple of days, that one of their sessions is on this, and so maybe we'll get a little bit more clarity, but as far as projects, that's one thing we can work through how it needs to be set up, because the state's changed the law on us, but it's, the core things is that one's a grant. So there's the TRT money. How much money do we want to have for TRT? We're allocating some for the chamber, local grants for the chamber contract. The Derby now, this recommendation is, and I think the auditor made this, was to move it from special events into tourism, which I'm I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a good idea. The other one, so this was Councilman Hoffman, you mentioned this one. This was to do a study for the air race layout at
For the courses.
for the course at the airport. And so we just set some money aside to do a study on that. One that we've discussed in the past it was the project money, but was having grants available for historic preservation. I highlighted in red because we never kind of finished that discussion about that. And so is there funding that you want to set aside specifically for historic preservation / museums? And if you do, then we can put some money in for that. Now we have the grist mill, so the grist mill could apply for this money. Others could as well. Or we could just have an allocation if we wanted to the grist mill, but we certainly have projects to do.
So allocations, I mean, I've got a dear one to my heart. It's not Benson Grist Mill, it's Ophir Historical District. It needs it's visited a lot. So I would like to see that, some going money that we could set aside for those kind of projects, just not Ophir, but other historical ones. That is beyond promotion.
Yeah, so for now, I've put in $100,000, if you guys want to tweak that up or down, or it's up to you guys, so, but that's just a placeholder right now. I think have to be corrected on this one. We did have one for the CIP for infrastructure and parks and trails. That was at Desert Peak, or was that, I can't remember, Corey, at one time we had some for Diamondback. Was this where that was from? Oh, that's the 250, I guess. If we can get the BLM to hire the right person, we may be able to get that moving again. And then we pay for the bond on Desert Peak. There's not a lot, and we're almost done, actually. I think the capital projects is the only other one, and there are just a few items here. First, we just have a pass-through grant. We have 33rd Parkway that we'll be doing this year, so we have some funding set. We've been set that money aside a number of years ago. We have a list of projects. I'll show you those in just a second. We talked about this with the sheriff's building is doing a study, so we put some money in to do a study, and then we'll determine where we go from there. This one we need to come back to, as we're looking at the fund balance, we do need to move some money out of the fund balance, the general fund balance, and we typically put it in capital projects. It's looking like it could be around $22 million. We've been very fortunate with these last couple of years. We have the Shambeck water tanks, which I mentioned, I think in year 4 out of 5. We have Ibapa Road, this is a match that we have. Now Desert Peak this one's still an unknown. We're getting ready to get the numbers back on phase 4, so we should be able to tighten that up. We just are putting in a placeholder for right now. This one we actually had somewhere else, so I need to take that one out. And then Middle Canyon, I discussed this before as well, because we do have some one-time money. Let me phrase it this way. We've received a lot of extra money from Energy Solutions, and I think our treasurer said we may have doubled what we budgeted. We budgeted $5.5 million. We're expecting, he said, by the time we're done, we may be 10, 11 by the time we're done. So that's one-time money you don't want to go spend hiring people. And so there's some projects that we would like to do. This is one of those that we just did the study on, and so this is one of the recommendations is to work on the trail up Middle Canyon, which would connect all the way up to Skyline. That's the kind of the preferred route. So those are the capital projects. Anything on those?
So the money we get from Energy Solutions, does that go into?
General fund. It's general fund, but it's been, and Mike mentioned one year that it went up to $12 billion and it crashed the next year. So we shouldn't be deciding on hiring people based on that money. We probably should say, this is what we're comfortable with. We can base hiring based on this, but not these spikes. And I love the spike right now. So we have some one-time money.
I think budgeting the average, then using the other, we may have, when we get the study back on the sheriff's building, that may come.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We have some roads that have got to be built. That's where money can go to.
Absolutely.
I think that those are discussions that we master plan over the next year. I was in a meeting last Thursday, though, about a new revenue stream for Energy Solutions. If it is approved by the Senate and the House and Washington, we will see a significant increase in the revenues.
That's from Canada, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think almost looking at it like CSEP money, but doesn't have to be for certain things.
Yeah,
Sense. That revenue stream appears, I don't know where it's gonna go though.
yeah, agreed.
Okay,
So
so
I did-
Andy, will you prepare that spreadsheet for us?
Yeah, so this is what I put in the one for this, just some items. I did add one in there. So we mentioned these, the roof liner. Jason mentioned most of these. One that I did add was landscaping out front, making it more of a destination area. We designed it, we couldn't get it finished, and so we didn't have the funding at that time. So that's one that I'm recommending that we, with some of this one-time money. Then the rest of these are health department. They don't have any requests. And then I think we've talked about the other ones, solid waste. We're still waiting to hear on the grant that would pay for that. If not, we still need to do it, quite honestly. So we may end up just tipping into the fund balance to take care of that, the scale house. And then Wayne has a few items here. And then the airport, it's just the typical, I think we showed the slide of how much we pay and the feds pay. We pay very little. So most of that's paid by the feds.
Can we pay off that bond using general fund money?
That's an Allison question. Do you know with the airport? I don't think we,
It has to come out of that, okay, thank you. You answered my
I think
question.
that was.
Okay.
And that's the last one. So if you want me to consolidate that all into one sheet that we can then have the discussion on. And then I'll have whether it's yes, unmet, or.
Yes,
and
so
then-
the recommendations, then
And then you
just
can-
put each of our names and,
Then you can make
We
a
go-
recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the projects.
thank you. Council members that, well, we had a tourism discussion that we need to have. Yeah, can we take, Kendall?
30 seconds. The indigent defense, the public defender, and I don't know if we're done with the budget support, if we are, is, I was really concerned after Corey Caldwell's presentation about the, to me, drastically underfunded to compete and draft what we need to really have public defenders for the indigent defense. So I know we're on a tight timeline, but I think we ought to be, I'd like to bring them maybe back up. If she can get us some information that's realistic, what other counties, what are we competing against? So maybe we can bring that in January, February when she has time. But to be willing to open up the budget to support so we can have a good indigent defense.
I think that was her plan, and we'd appreciate that. So I'll entertain a motion for 5 minutes recess. Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, we will be back here at 9:11.
Only for you.
Council, do we want to meet next Tuesday?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So they have one there and that's here. So there's 1:30 and 1:30.
They have 7 AM. Yeah. But she doesn't think it's gonna be her
Oh, it's encumbered. I probably put in my year-to-date encumbered, so if they're not even spent any of it, I'll just put that back in.
Encumbered, that's all amounts encumbered.
That's all it is. Yeah, I put it in just to get where I could just, okay, perfect. And then this is the other one, the 150 up here onto the fire. This is the other one that they have a grant that they needed to move as well, they said.
Okay, so that one, I think it's the one that.
Let me give them a picture. Thank you for reading it.
Okay, we're good. We're going back on the record. It's 9:13 PM. The council meeting has come back into order from recess. We are going to postpone the discussion on tourism and positions until December 2nd at 5 o'clock, where we will go back into a work session to finish budget. That is, Ty, are you in agreement with that?
Yep, that works.
Kendall?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on from budget then tonight and go to, good heavens. Yeah, 9A, Public Defender Agreement with Zachary Sayer for Juvenile Court Parental Defense by Nathan Harris.
Thank you, Councilman Wardle. So in August of this year, you, as a council, adopted a public defender agreement with Mr. Sayer. He has since changed firms, and so this agreement just replaces that August agreement and changes the firm name so he can continue working with us.
Does the council have any questions for Deputy Attorney Harris? Is that correct? Deputy County Attorney Harris?
Sure.
I don't know what your title is.
It doesn't matter.
Dude. Okay, if not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Strongberg. I need a second.
Yeah, second.
Second by Councilman Thomas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We will move to item number 10, line item transfers. We have two of them this evening.
All right, council, I just have two line item adjustments for you. The first one is from our solid waste department for $85,000. We've had an increase in our residential garbage hauling. The next one that I have is from the roads department for a total of $31,000. They've done various repairs, put in a crosswalk, had to purchase a cattle guard. Total of that one is $31,000.
Council, do you have any questions? Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion on line item transfers.
So moved.
We have a motion to adopt the line item transfers. Second, motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Hoffman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to item number 11, resolution and ordinances. We will begin with resolution 2529, amending, increasing the 2025 budget. Auditor McCoy.
All right, council, we have several budget adjustments. Again, we're just finishing up the end of the year, and so a few of these, first one that we have is from the health department. This is some WIC funding that they have. It'll increase the budget by $25,000. The next one that we have is for weeds. This is a grant that they have for $68,124. We have an adjustment from the attorney's office. This is for some legal fees as well as some witness fees for the homicide cases that they have. The next one that we have is for the EOC. They are moving, normally this one wouldn't come before you, but they're moving funds across departments so that they're moving it from their EOC department to their fire department for a total of just under 17,000, or just under 16,000, I'm sorry, just under 17,000. The next one that we have is for the CJC. We're increasing for their utilities by 2,000. And then the last one that we have is for Human Services for some mental health exams for 3,500.
Thank you very much. This does require a public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion to open the public hearing by Councilman Hoffman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Strongberg. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to these items or here? Seeing no one wanting to stand up in the incredible audience that we have, a packed room for those who cannot see at this point, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none that are opposed, before we vote on this, I just want you to know we are headed into the holiday season, and the Human Services Fund reminds me of a great Seinfeld episode, and we will have feats of strength in a week. So, the Festivus. How was that, Nikki? Got it. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on Resolution 2025-29.
So moved.
Second.
It's Councilman Hoffman made the motion. Councilman Thomas seconded it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It carries. Let's move to item number 12, action items, and this is the presentation and approval of the fraud risk assessment by our county auditor. Just so you know, at the end of this, I will entertain a motion to approve or to accept. Which one should I use?
Approve.
Approve. Thank you.
All right, council, this is our fraud risk assessment that we have to go through and approve annually. I'm pleased this year is substantially better than last year. Our score is 380 out of 395 points. The only reduction in our points is we are missing two specific policies. One's related to travel and one is related to credit card purchasing. When we don't have a specific policy, our policies default to our state policies. But I do have these two policies ready, or versions of these policies that I'm prepared to forward on to the council to, at least as a starting or a discussion point for the council to look at, so that we can hopefully get all the points next year. The biggest increase in our points is the HR team has done a fantastic job in getting our payroll reconciliations on track. And so we were able to get the full points on the back page, which is an all or nothing points. So if you can't answer all the questions yes or have a mitigating control, you don't get the points, and that's a huge deduction. The other thing that really helped is the council's formed an audit committee this year, and so that's been a huge help for the fraud risk assessment as well. And so I just want to thank everybody that's helped with this, because I just actually had a meeting with the trust, and they said anytime an entity follows this and implements this, if everybody would do it, we'd have a lot less claims. And so I'm proud of the work that we've done. So
thank you very much to the entire team on this. Before we vote on this, the audit committee still has one vacancy. We need to approve that in the first meeting in December. Councilman Hoffman, it is your vacancy.
My vacancy.
The rest of us have brought nominations.
Well, the person I asked withdrew.
Well,
So.
try again. With that, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I've asked two other people and they've all declined. So I'm ready. If anybody else has ideas, I need them at this point.
I have a joke, I'm not offering it. I will entertain a motion to adopt the fraud risk assessment.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have adopted the fraud risk assessment. We have several boards and committees that have vacancies. The most pressing one is the audit committee. Councilman Hoffman. And with that, we'll move on to council. You remember when you asked me to get a parent's note when I missed a meeting?
That was a doctor's note.
So,
Get it right.
it's not forgotten. Okay, Councilman Hoffman, do you have an update?
Yes, but I can't remember what it was because you distracted me.
We'll come back to Councilman Hoffman. Councilman Thomas.
The thought lost me, so.
Hey, I went to a certificate, no, come back from, what was it called?
Reintegration.
Reintegration. So if you were a homeless person or out living on the streets, or this was the process you'd have to go through. It was a great training, a little bit over the top, I thought, not absolutely applicable to Tooele, but I thought it was very good, and so thanks to everybody that was involved with that.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. Councilman Strongberg?
Nothing for tonight.
I've already shared mine, and that is that in the Waste Management Radiation Control Board meeting on Thursday last week, we had about a 50-minute discussion regarding the waste from Canada coming to our county and what that would entail. I think we should just keep that on our radar. And we've got USAC this week on Thursday. If you're going to be there, could you text me, please? That would be very helpful for some things we're doing.
What do you want me to text you?
That you're going to be there, okay? So, with that, Andy, we have nothing tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, we need to come back to Ty, sorry. Ty, you remembered. Okay.
If you're going to the legislative meeting in Washington DC and haven't registered yet, I think early registration date is coming up and we're still at the lowest prices. So consider registering for that if you're going to that in Washington DC the end of February. The other thing was I got a call yesterday from Ian at 47G, and they are working on something where they may want our help with it with a grant. They're working with a couple of drone companies that are having a hard time scheduling their testing need, that they need to do the testing out at Dugway, and they have to schedule that way in advance. They want our help on a grant, maybe to look at maybe using the Wendover Airport for that as a place to maybe store those. So that is gonna be coming up here in the near future, just to give you a heads up about that. And I already mentioned it to Andy and Brittany earlier, so that is something that's in the works.
Councilman Hoffman, my guilt complex is now getting to me. I'm very sorry I passed you by and continue to refer to you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.